Okay, so today I will be reading you the infamous Five Nights at Freddy's novella book. These will be fun, and we're gonna start it up. Okay, I have already read you the first page. If you haven't, go check out the video where I think it's called My Opinion on Some of the Most Popular Books. Go watch my content, it's fun. Okay. One business after another shut down, like the organs in a dying body, because nobody had the money for movies or games or amazing waffle cones anymore. Are you excited? It's the last day of school, Dad asked. It was one of those questions adults always ask, like, how was your day? And did you brush your teeth? Oswald shrugged. I guess, but there's nothing to do with Ben gone. School's boring, but home's boring too. When I was 10, I wasn't home in the summer until I got called in for supper, Dad said. I rode my bike and played baseball and got into all kinds of trouble. Are you saying I should get in trouble? Oswald said. No, I'm saying you should have fun. Dad pulled into the drop-off line in front of Westbrook Elementary. Have fun? He made it sound so easy. Oswald walked through the school's double doors and ran smack into Dylan Cooper, the last person he wanted to see. Oswald was apparently the first person Dylan wanted to see, though, because his mouth spread in a wide grin. Dylan was the tallest kid in 5th grade, and clearly enjoyed looming over his victims. Well, if it isn't Oswald the Ocelot, he said, his grin spreading impossibly wider. That one never gets old, does it? Oswald walked past Dylan and was relieved when his tormentor chose not to follow him. When Oswald and his 5th grade classmates were preschoolers, there was a cartoon on one of the little kid channels about a big pink ocelot. I don't know why I said pig. Named Ocelot. Oswald. Wow, I'm so sorry, guys. As a result, Dylan and his friends had started calling him Oswald the Ocelot on the first day of kindergarten and had never stopped. Dylan was the kind of kid who'd pick on anything that made you different. If it had been Oswald's name, it would have been his freckles or his cowlick. The name calling had gotten so much worse over this year in U.S. history when they'd learned that the man who shot John F. Kennedy was named Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald would rather be an ocelot than an assassin. Since it was the last day of school, there was no attempt at doing any kind of real work. Mrs. Meacham had announced the day before the students were allowed to bring their electronics as long as they took responsibility for anything getting lost or broken. This announcement meant that no effort would be made toward any educational activities of any kind. Oswald didn't have any modern electronics, true? True, there was one laptop at home, but the whole family shared it, and he wasn't allowed to bring it to school. He had a phone, but it was the saddest, most out-of-date model imaginable. And he didn't want to take it out of his pocket because he knew any kid who saw it would make fun of how pathetic it was. So while other kids played games on their tablets or handheld consoles, Oswald sat. After just sitting became intolerable, he took out a notebook and pencil and started to draw. He wasn't the best artist in the world, but he could draw well enough that his images were identifiable. And there was a certain cartoony quality about his drawings that he liked. The best thing about drawing, though, was that he could get lost in it. It was like he fell into the paper and became part of the scene he was creating. It was a welcome escape. He didn't know why, but lately he had been drawing mechanical animals. Bears, bunnies, birds. Does that ring a bell, FNAF fans? He imagined them being human-sized and moving with the jerkiness of robots in an old science fiction movie. They were furry on the outside, but the fur covered a hard, mellow skeleton, with gears and circuits. Somehow he drew the animals as exposed metal skeletons, or sketched them with fur peeled back to show some of the mechanical workings underneath. It was a creepy effect, like seeing a person's skull peeking out from beneath the skin. Hello. I know, I'm being so cringy right now, aren't I? I'm so sorry, guys. Oswald was no immersed in his drawing, that he was startled when Mrs. Meacham, I can't say that name, turned off the lights to show a movie. Movies always seemed like a teacher's final act of desperation on the day before break. A way to keep the kids quiet in relativity, still for an hour and a half before setting them loose for the summer. The movie she chose was, in Oswald's opinion, too babyish for a room full of fifth graders. It was about a farm with talking animals, and he had watched it before, but he watched it again because, really, what else would he have to do? At recess, kids stood around tossing a ball back and forth and talking about what they're going to do over the summer. I'm going to football camp. I'm going to basketball camp. I'm going to hang out at my neighborhood pool. I'm going to stay with my grandparents in Florida. Oswald sat on a bench and listened. For him, there would be no camps and no pool memberships and no trips because there was no money. And so he'd draw pictures, play his old video games that he'd already beaten 1,000 times, and maybe go to the library. If Ben were still there, it would be different. Even if they were just doing the same old stuff, they'd be doing it together. And Ben could always make Oswald laugh, riffing on video game characters or doing a perfect impersonation of one of their teachers. He and Ben had fun, no matter what they did. But now it was summer without Ben yawned before him, wide and empty. Most days, Oswald's mom worked from 12 p.m. until 12 a.m., so his dad had to make dinner on frozen meals like lasagna or chicken pot pie, or on cold cuts and potato salad from the snack space deli that were still good enough to eat but not good enough to sell. When Dad did cook, it was usually things that required boiling water. While Dad got their dinner ready, Oswald's job was to feed Jinx, their very spoiled black cat. Oswald often thought that he used about the same amount of cooking skill in opening Jinx's can of sticky cat food and his dad used his dinner preparations. Tonight, Oswald and Dad were sitting down to plates of blue box mac and cheese and some canned corn his dad had zapped in the microwave. It was a very yellow meal. You know, I was thinking Dad squirting ketchup on his macaroni and cheese. Why did he do that? Oswald wondered. I know you're old enough to stay home by yourself, son. But I don't like the idea of you staying by yourself the whole day while your mom and I are at work. I was thinking you could ride into town with me in the mornings and could drop you off at the library. You could read, surf the net. Oswald couldn't let this one slide. How out of date could his dad be? Nobody says surf the net anymore, Dad. They do now because I just said it. Dad forked up some macaroni. Anyway, I thought you could hang out in the library in the mornings. When you get hungry, you could head over to Jess Pizza for a slice and a soda. And I could pick you up there once my shift's over at 3. Oswald considered for a moment. Jess Pizza was kind of weird. Okay, so, I hope, you could understand some of that. Once again, that is Five Nights at Freddy's Fazbear Fright #1 Into the Pit. It is an awesome book, and definitely one of the best things I've ever read. But, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time.